Welcome to Earth 1111. There's so many important lessons for the rest of the world, for those going through the LA fires right now. I want to talk about all that today. We got to realize that those that are playing the evil puppets in the world are actually playing a very important role for us to see the shadow, the underlying things that most people don't even want to look at or be aware of. So even though it is so difficult for those that are going through so much, my heart goes out to all of you. No one deserves to lose everything. But there's so many lessons for the rest of us to be able to see very clearly right now what needs to change in our world. Was this natural? Was this artificial, these fires? Well, I'm going to do a part 2. I've already recorded it. I go into so many different things about the fact that this area was also highly targeted, as it's a stargate point of the planet. But all that in part 2. And this video is so much more important to understand the lessons from the universe that we all need to be fully aware of right now. Now, number 1 is we got to realize that it was a super important lesson that doesn't matter what these artificial divisions in society try to push on us. Whether you're rich, you're poor, you're a celebrity, you're not, doesn't matter what political party, these people came together. They didn't care who was in that burning car, they pulled them out. All of these dividers need to go because they are pushed upon us artificially. Now, number 2 is you could spend your entire life focused on and prioritizing acquiring nice things that could just go up in flames in a matter of moments. So it's a huge lesson to the rest of us that our priorities need to be shifting, that we do not want to be spending and giving up, trading our life, the hours of our life, just to be able to acquire money, things that end up we realize that they are not important in the end. Yes, of course, my heart goes out to anyone that lost everything. It is absolutely devastating. But we can look at the silver lining of it was the universe letting these people free, right? To go back to the bare bones of what's important, freeing them from these attachments that have been keeping them burdened. As a world, we are house poor. We spend all of our money, because things are so expensive, on just maintaining a place to live or maintaining the nice stuff in the home, right? So think about all the hours of your life you've given up to just pay rent, pay your mortgage. We have been as a society, slaves to our stuff, because the more stuff that you acquire, the more maintenance of it is required. The more money is needed to just maintain it. And then we're not free. We're not free to travel. We're not free to move around, to change our mind, right? We're not free to maybe quit our job that is paying the bills to follow a dream of ours, because we are scared that we won't be able to pay our bills. And so, yes, I'm not saying the mortgage companies are going to be like, you don't got to pay, right? That's a whole other thing, which I get into a lot more in the second video. But in this video, I want us to start being able to see the big lessons for all of us. That you could work your whole life for nice things that can be gone. And really what's gone is that identity of who you are because of these things, right? We can see LA is and Hollywood's the perfect bubble that people have lived in, that is this kind of facade with most people, right? So I'm not saying everyone is. I'm saying there's amazing people in LA, but a lot of people hold that surface level facade, right? They want to keep up with the Joneses, so they will spend every dollar. They will go into debt just to make sure they have the nice clothes, the nice car, the nice purse, right? The nice makeup. And it doesn't matter. We need to be stripping away these things, right? We're so attached to an identity, and really a false one. And we need to get raw in this world, vulnerable. Right? We can see the communities coming together, people supporting. Now, I'm not saying they will ever have their stuff back, but maybe that stuff, most of that stuff, wasn't as important as they thought, and they can start fresh and realize that the universe, their soul may be waiting for them to do amazing things in this world, right? We didn't come here to acquire material stuff. We didn't come here to have the nice fancy car, the nice home, even though that stuff is nice. But we didn't come here for that. We came here for big soul missions. And your soul needs to be able to be free, to have the space, the time, to be able to get into places like this, in nature, to reset. We don't need to be in that hustle culture anymore. That burden that we need to work harder just to maintain our lifestyle when things are getting more expensive, right? And we can see LA's the perfect place where people paid so much money to the government to maintain their infrastructure, to make sure that they're safe. And there's this false sense of security that people are really starting to realize that the government ain't gonna help you, right? You pay so much money and that money is siphoned off out of country. Your infrastructure is crumbling. Now, this isn't just LA, this is all over the world. We've got to realize that they don't care about you. And people are starting to, I think, realize this. It's about self-sufficiency, self-sustaining, not just running out right there and being a prepper, because we need communities. We need to be able to all be able to learn lessons, have skills to be able to support one another, right? It's not about going and being the prepper. Yeah, you can be prepared for more ridiculous, crazy stuff in this world because it's not over, right? We are just beginning to see a dissolving of the old ways of being. And this is like this perfect LA lifestyle where you can, right, go surfing at the beach, cocktails and shopping for nice clothes. That bubble was popped and people, right, are grieving that. We're all grieving that because it's not just LA. The whole world is realizing everything is different now. That was a big eye-opener for all of us. Now my heart goes out to anyone that is going through and lost everything. Myself, I almost lost my home last summer because there was a raging wildfire behind my house only a couple kilometers away that was out of control for weeks. It was actually right near also our water for millions of people in southern Vancouver Island. So if it would have gotten to there, we would not even have clean drinking water. Actually, it's the same as this river right here. But up there, that's where the water that supplies the whole area. We live in such a point where everything is so unstable. It's so sensitive to breaking. You know, how does one fire wipe out 1 million people's drinking water? Well, it can, right? And this is the world we live in. We're way too reliant upon things. Now, this wildfire, thank God, didn't take my house, you know, but it wasn't over after that because then a couple months later, I got this letter from my mortgage company saying that I was in default because I didn't have insurance. And I didn't realize that my insurance company went belly up. You know, I had no claims, but they closed their doors. And so I was frantically looking for a new insurance company. And that's a whole other thing going on in LA, which I get into more in the next video. But it was so difficult to get insurance, especially because we just had a fire, especially because my other company went belly up. Right? And so it was so difficult. I'm paying $6,000 a year. It's no joke. And not just that, in order to actually get the policy, I had to pay tens of thousands of dollars in extra things that they required, right? Me service this, me upgrade this, just to get that policy in place. Now, this is going to be an issue in the future, right? It's the push to make sure that you own nothing and you're happy, right? Which I'll get into more in the next video, but just know that insurance companies are going to be jacking up the prices. In order to have a mortgage, you need insurance. A lot of times they're just going to say, we're not insuring this area, this location. So that's going to be an issue in the future. So the lesson here is I have to be willing, and I am willing, because this whole thing's not over with me. I even though I love this area, right? This is my soul lives here. This is where I ascended. This is it. But I'm not attached to it. I'm not attached to my home. I am willing to let go of everything. And that's what people need to realize, is that we have to be willing to let go of everything. I am willing to change. I am willing to sell my home. I am willing to let go of this and see where the universe takes me, right? So the silver lining behind a lot of people whose houses were taken is they are now free to start over, right? Because we live in a community or a world that is house slaves, right? We are slaves to our homes, slaves to our society. You're not free to just be able to take off. You know, for me, even if I did take off, I have to worry about my home. Is my home going to be okay if I take off and go traveling? So you're not free. You're not free if you have all these material things you need to make sure, babysit, take care of, maintain, right? And so we need to realize that as a society, we are not only slaves, where we're trading our life just to pay the bills, to have stuff. So you're not stress-free. You're not free to move, to shake, to travel, to quit that job and start something new if you feel that you just need to let go of it, but you can't, you're scared to because the bills are piling up. I get it. But these are lessons that the universe is pushing us to make right now. And we're seeing it on full display in other people's lives in order for us to see these lessons very clearly right now. That it's not a life about stuff, material stuff. It's not a life about being slaved to this lifestyle that you want to put on, right? This identity of self that you must maintain. And if you let go of the stuff, you feel that you are stripping away your identity, which is so big right now. That's what Ascension is all about, getting to the core authentic you, which is raw, vulnerable. It's messy, you know, and people don't like that. They like to have this perfect surface level lipstick facade. But it's got to go. We got to get real as a society. We got to help one another. I love how I saw so many people coming together there in LA, regardless of who was right there to actually help. So my heart goes out to anyone going through anything right now. There's so many things going on, and the world's going to get crazier. These lessons are not over yet, right? Remember that the evil darkness in the world is there to show us what is hidden. They're coming from that point. They're coming from that place because that shadow is there. Otherwise, we wouldn't see suffering, we wouldn't see devastation, we wouldn't see people getting killed, losing everything. So until we heal the shadow, the underbelly of this world, this corruption, ourselves even, right? The problem is never outside, the problem is inside. What are we willing to support? What lifestyle are we living? Are we living in a bubble, in the comfort zone? Or are we breaking free, right? Are we supporting the old corrupt system, or are we supporting those that are actually trying to usher in new earth? And by the way, comment below if you know the places to donate for people to send funds that are actually getting directly to the people, 100%, because there's a lot, even the government, I heard, has disaster fund, right, for the fire victims that they are taking 5 or 10% off the top. Are you kidding me? So if you do know, of course, local charities, but if you do know specifically, then please comment below so people can do your research still about where to send funds to support these people, right? They've lost everything. And I'll talk more about all of that, the ploy to make sure that they did, and what that means for the rest of the world, what this push is pushing us towards, because we need to get into a place where we are more self-sustainable, where we are free, where we are not home poor slaves to our stuff. The world sees this is a massive worldwide wake-up call for all of us, right? So it's unfortunate when you are the one, if you're going through this, that is on display, but it is for us to learn huge lessons, not to point the finger at who did it forever. That gets us nowhere. We need to see the lessons below what these evil characters are playing out. And there's so many more lessons that I'm going to talk about in part 2. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that bell for more videos. And thank you so much for supporting my channel. It really helps my videos get out to more people when you do subscribe, when you give me a thumbs up, when you share my video, so I can help other people right now. This is what I do 24/7 for free to support you. And of course, 24/7, my Stargate work and grid work in the background in the quantum field. So it's never ending work, and I appreciate all of you. And you can also follow my other content that I post more frequently on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. If you want more from me, I have courses and classes. I'll put all the links below in the description for you. So thank you so much. Lots of love. Sending so much love to those that are going through massive change right now. I'm Roxanne. This has been Earth 1111. We'll see you very soon on part 2. Don't miss out on that video. Super important information as I go into much more depth. Take care. Bye-bye.